That's what you thought? Yeah. Your first surprise.
They would probably be in really bad shape if you fired up a SQL map against them. They'd probably be in some really bad shape.
Are you on the back end?
I know that they're Jason. I have all their areas.
Not a mass
How was your drive? You come out last night or?
Yeah, I didn't even hear all about it. You guys first told me about it. I said KC, and I was like, I'm going. Then I got tweets going off. I said, I'm not coming tomorrow. I got it. My mom worked at the trail, so I can get some cheaper.
Nice, now I know.
It's a good deal. I mean, I was 10 miles away, but it's 30 bucks. Well, I don't even pay for my gas. The comments is free.
Are we good to start?
You look just like that last year.
I'm a little bit more sexy. Hey, you with the penetration, are we good to go?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. All right. How many people have used Evite or sent an invite? Because how many of you have heard my other talk about this company? Awesome. So Evite the SQL. It's not actually we're going to do anything with SQL. It's actually a sequel, like a movie sequel. And like most movie sequels, things usually are not as good as the first movie. It's a lot worse.
It's gorier.
Yes. So just like in movies, there's also trailers.
This is the top trailer.
Yeah, we have a trailer. It's actually
More top shit.
hopefully this is full board. Oh, did I miss it? Yeah, I did.
Not a very good trailer.
It's this website you can use to invite people to stuff. Does it have to be a significant event? No, not at all. Do you just get the invitation and that's the end of it? No, it'll remind you about it constantly. Is there any way I can customize this to showcase my personality through familiar clip art? Yes. And what about those replying? Can they demonstrate their sense of humor through hilarious replies? Yes to everything you're saying. I'm so excited to get started. You do that while I jump out this window. Hello, Trent. Kill yourself.
Yeah, so it's Evite.
Pretty awesome. Where's that from? Do you know it?
Well, it's Family Guy, but I took it off of Gizmodo since they had it there. I'm like, awesome. So you really can't see that, but my name is Trent. I've picked on Evite probably since 2006, and I've worked with them on and off about fixing things. So my last talk was at ShmooCon, I think it was 2011, and it took them 72 hours after I gave them like a year and a half to fix all this stuff, 72 hours to go through and fix all those things. And then I think it was like 48 hours I was back in because I told them they should just delete the whole website and start over. So, just like in the movies, we've got our anti-piracy and all that stuff. So be careful, don't edit invites that you don't own because that's just not really nice. And when you start tampering with other people just because they don't even know what's happening, you're going to make the company real pissed off at you. And they do actually a really good job in tracking. I mean, the amount of data that they keep on a user is awesome. And they even record your IP address of when you log into the site. They even record the CAPTCHA. And you can like access all that through their website.
Why is that awesome again?
Just because they're really good at it. So there's 15 million registered Evite users right now. And they say that they send out about 450,000 events a month, and that's like some serious data here. And how an actual invite works is that there's two components. You have your event ID, which is 31 characters long, and then you have a GID, which is 31 characters long. And those are the two components that you need to attack an invite. So, and we'll go through that. Couple of things just to keep in the back of your mind is that cookies have preservatives. They have an open door policy at Evite, and your account is my account. So kind of those are the three things that I always think about when I look at Evite. So Evite 1.0, have you guys ever seen this one? I mean, if you ever use Evite way back in the day, this is what it looked like. And it was really awesome is that the ability to become the host, being that the person that's hosting this party, all you needed was their user ID, which is displayed on the actual page, and an email address. And the email address had to be the host's email address. So if you just happen to find one, you could just click on Add to My Calendar, and this little deal will pop up here. And you would see right over to the side where I've highlighted the host's Gmail account. So we just take that information and say, yeah, I'm going to log in. I type in the host's name and I type in the host's Gmail account, and we are now the administrator of this event. So 1.0 was really bad. I sent them this and they're like, oh, just wait, we got 2.0 coming out. It's going to be really awesome. We're going to fix all these things and we're going to have all this great stuff. But they actually had a really cool option that I liked in this one is that you could just click the button Remove from Guest List. I don't know how to use this laser pointer on this thing. Maybe this. Yeah, there we go. So you could just click Remove Me from the guest list. So if you actually click that, like let's say that you didn't want to get invited from the host anymore. So you just click this link here, and if the user would go back, it's like, I'm sorry, your name's been removed from the list. So if you actually find someone that you despise or you don't want them on the list, this is something that you could do. If you could hijack the invite, you could cause fights between the host and someone that wants to go to the party, like, hey, why'd you invite me? What's your deal? So just interesting things there. So Evite 2.0 came out. It looks all flashy, it's got like the Web 2.0 look, and the only problem is if you do inspect element or look at the developer code, it gives you the GIDs. And the GIDs are the keys to Evite. So if you have a GID, you can switch in between users. So this is when I gave the talk at ShmooCon. They actually fixed it. So like, you know what, we'll just remove it out of here and you won't be able to do that anymore. Leave us alone. So Evite 2.1, this is what I call it. So we have a Route 66 invite here. And one thing I want to get into is they do this really awesome thing about cookies. And they've actually fixed this issue. And I don't know if it's just I was generating a lot of noise and they're like, this is probably the Evite guy and he's probably doing something really bad. So what I was able to do is using this request here, this is their open door policy, I would just put in any email address right here. And as long as this is a valid cookie, doesn't matter where I got it from, it would respond back to me the context of their entire address book that's stored on Evite. So if you picked a celebrity and you knew their email address, you just dump that in there, you're gonna get some really nice emails, like personal emails, like out of some serious things. But fortunately for us, they actually fixed this. And this is like the gold of Evite, I think, because it's just entertaining just to see people's contacts. A lot of people ask me, they're like, hey, what can you find on me on Evite? And I go in there and like bring up old emails, like, oh, I've been looking, hey, could you give me that email? I actually need that person's email, I lost it. So they actually store all this stuff on there, it's really great. One other thing that was interesting is they set the epoch cookie way back in 1970. And they're also using this new Google front-end server deal here. So that's actually kind of new that they just added. So here we go. This is an invite that I created for Route 66. I'm going to talk about the open door policy. That's their API. I don't really call it an API just because it's so completely open and broken that there's just an entirely too many problems, as you will see. So unfortunately this is not dark enough, but I've grabbed an event ID. So I've actually taken an event ID, which is the one that I created here, and you can see that you can talk to the API, and the API will dump back like, oh, here's the guest list, here's the person's names that are invited, and the guest IDs. So if you have the event ID, which are really easy to find, you can go to Twitter and just type evite.com. It will dump you all the invites that you want to see. But in this scenario, this is the one that I own, so I just typed in the event ID, sent it to the API. The API is like, burp this back to me. He's like, oh, here's the guest list, here's who's invited, have they looked at it, you can see all the comments that are in it. So, let's see here. Let me show you a little video here of, I'm currently not signed in, and you can see the event ID way up here at the top. So this is an actual, just an event that I created. And I'll talk to the API. The API will dump back, here's Bill S, and here's another guest ID, here's Jason Street. So we can get all the guest IDs, and all we need to do up in the URL is like we put a question mark and the GID. Just paste that in here, equals, and then the GID. Hit enter, and you'll see over here where we change into a user. So now we're Bill S. I don't know who Bill S is. So you can see how easy like their authentication is. They're like, well, if you just have the guest ID, it's game over. Because this is where it gets fun. Like, you know, my neighbors have stopped inviting me with their invites because I changed their invites to be interesting parties. So
This is after they fixed the first one?
yeah, this is like live right now. Like I recorded this just the other day. Like after they fixed all these problems and they put all these precautions, I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. I told you to delete the website. We got to start over. So using the API, you can see that I'm replying as Corey K, and Corey loves to see men hug. And so Corey would be probably pretty pissed at me if he was here to see this. So then I click reply, and it says like, oh, thanks for your reply. You can see, you know, it's all in the clear. We can see all this. So we'll go in here and we'll make a smirk remark from Bill S. So we'll just, you know, change the GID here. Log in as Bill. You see we're not Bill. And we'll make say, yeah, we're coming. Then we're going to go ahead and reply to Corey's invite here. So we'll click that. Like, I bet you do. And we'll comment there. So you get the picture. I mean, yeah. So yeah. So Bill's commenting to Corey. So you can start a lot of fights, especially when couples use this for their wedding invitations. And I've said this before, because I just think it's so funny. It's like, you know, if like a bridesmaid's like, yeah, I slept with the groom last night. It was awesome. Yeah. She's like, you should not. He's awful in the sack or whatever. So I mean, people use this for all sorts of things, like kids' parties, whatever. Here's Dave Kennedy saying, like, Bill, I'm going to give you a wet hug. So.
What's with all these recorded demos? What's a live audience?
Oh, you know, internet drag. I've given this talk before, so I know that Evite's really slow, especially because I bang on their API quite a bit. So you'll see in some of the recordings where it just pauses. And so moving on. There's one thing to remember is like when you're posting these things that you can't remove it, so to speak, sort of. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen this Twitter account that just like retweets people who post their credit cards out. So same thing. Be careful what you post. So here you can see that I have Jason's like, hey, make sure when you guys get in, you give me a hug, and I have Corey just being like scumbag Corey saying like, Jason, that is so stupid. And then Dave Kennedy's like, that's an awful thing to say. And Bill is like, you know, he's agreeing. It's like, I can't believe you'd say that. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to inspect element on that, right click, inspect element in Chrome. We're going to get the message ID here. You can see right there. And as long we're going to talk to their, open door policy. We're going to use the messaging service, and we're going to paste in that message here. And right here you can see is any valid cookie.
So I have to log in with an account.
Yeah,
create a
it
brand new
doesn't
account,
matter.
create
They're
a
like
new
any cookie. They're like, well, that's a valid cookie. Go ahead. You can do whatever you want. So we submit that. Boom. Message deleted. Now it looks just really awkward. It's like, make sure you guys give me a hug. And then Dave's like, that's an awful thing to say. And like, so you control really easy. So you can make comments and then delete them. And Evite doesn't give you that option. So now we have an option to delete comments. The only person who can delete comments is the host. But we're not the host, and we can just use a valid cookie, sign in, like at whatever email, and you can delete that. Another great thing is that you can take the guest ID and submit that to the open API, and it's like, oh, hey, here's the email address for Bill, bills@s.com. So it gives you all this information just on the guest ID. So that will bounce back to their API, and it'll dump that out to you. You can then take Bill's email, and it will dump back like, oh, Bill's first name, his privacy settings, zip code, like his address. You can even see if he's currently logged in. Why would you send that back to people? You can see like his gender, his email preferences, all this like really great information that they store on all the user IDs that's completely wide open.
those are probably their real house names because they're making events for
Right,
their house.
right. So,
Address.
I mean, even if they store like whatever information they have in there, you can get at it really easy. Another great thing on the 2.1 is that we have this ability to block IDs again. So all you need is an event ID plus the GID, submit that to their API, and it says like, are you sure you're gonna block this person? And you're no longer gonna receive emails. So once again, if you hate someone that gets invited to the same party, you just get their GID and you submit it to the party, and they will never be invited ever again to the party. Okay, this just doesn't even make sense. The easiest way for me to explain this in your mind real quickly would be if I had a nickname and you wanted to send me a letter in the mail, you would just write my nickname on the envelope, and it would look at it and like, oh, this is supposed to go to Trent, and it would deliver it to my house. So here I have just an event that I created. And each one of these people, they have a GID, which is their guest ID. And I want to actually send this message about Route 66. Thursday's night party is actually going to be a key party. You guys know what that is? It's going to get really awkward here.
Never get invited to that.
Yeah. So we're going to use this, but we're going to attack that Route 66 invite that I was using earlier. And who we're going to pick on are the individuals. So what I'm about to show here is that even if I don't own your event, I can send emails to all the individuals who are invited and make the message look like it came from the host. So the host won't even know that I had sent an email like, hey, that Christmas party that's coming up, make sure you wear a costume. Because the host was going to be like, why the hell is people showing up? I mean, I could tell everyone to bring like something inappropriate, and they would have no idea. The host has no idea that this is going on. So what we can see here is we're going to post to the send. They have this send API, and what we're going to do here is using this same attacker. We're going to intercept this guest ID, and we're going to put that of the host. So that's going to go to the hosts, and it's going to show up in their inbox and be like, hey, don't forget, it's a key party. You may like all that exact information that I wanted to send shows up in the inbox, and it even says it's hosted by myself, and it's the Route 66. So I don't even know how this even works. Just to go over this again, I'm sending a valid GID that's malicious, that I don't own this GID for my event. I send it to the database. The database is like, it looks it up, and it says, oh, that actually GID belongs to this event way over here. Let's pack it up and we'll email it to them. I don't even know how this even works. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I still can't figure this out. So they also have this thing called a config API that you can talk to in their open door policy. As long as you're using a valid cookie and you send the config, you can use this button right here. I don't know if you guys can read that, but it says cancel this event. So you could go, your evil person that you do not like, your mortal enemy, and you can just go and cancel their event.
You don't even have their email address?
Nope, you just need to have the GID, or the event ID, and you talk to the config, and the config says, oh, that's a valid cookie. Do you want to go ahead and cancel this event? Sure, let's cancel the event. Event's over. So if you don't use a valid ID, it looks like this. It doesn't input all the same host information that's normally in the event. So not using one looks like that. This will pop up, like canceling this event will delete the invitation. After you click cancel event, you give the opportunity to send them a message. Do you want to send them a notification? I just normally click skip, and then it looks like this. Looks like Route 66 has been canceled by the host. Bummer. Sucks for them. So what else could possibly go wrong when you barbecue next to propane gas? Persistent cross-site scripting. So are you guys ever familiar way back when with the Sammy worm from, what's that called? MySpace? Yeah. So all these things that I've showed you, we could potentially do the same thing. Because once you get a hold of a cookie and it's valid, we can extract the address book, just build this ginormous storm of an event that keeps grabbing people's address books, adds them to the party, and continues on. Looks up their friends, if they've ever used Invite, pulls their list in, and just keeps going on. Like looks in their friends, if they've ever used Invite, pull in their address book, add them to the event. Just keeps going on and on and on. So how's this work? So, let's see here, go ahead and play here. So right now we don't have any events. You can see bad guy is who I'm signed in as. Yeah, bad guy. This is the Route 66 part 2. Since we already canceled the other one, he's like, all right, I gotta make a new event. So here's the host. It's Frank Tabs. It's just some weird name. I always type in things. And we're gonna talk to the config again. You can see that we're logged in as bad guy. We're going to send the config, which actually copies their event. There's another open API that says, hey, I want to copy this person's event. I don't even own this event, but I want to copy it. And it's like, sure, we'll even bring over all the same user information. We'll pick in the time. We'll select the same time. And it gives you a nice ad. It even adds in the original host. We'll delete that. And we'll just paste in the host's email address because, like I said earlier, they have this API and it tells you who the host is at. Email address, we'll go ahead and put that in there. Click send. And it's sending. You have to type this stupid thing in, which they record and store in the invite for some apparent reason. Click submit, and off we go. Thank you, your invitation was sent. So you can see that we're bad guy. We're bad guy right here. So we're the host of the bad guy. And should end right there. Okay, so go to the next slide here. So here we're going to see that we're Route 66. This is part 2 because we canceled the other one. And we're going to attack the host. And we're going to get all the good things. So we'll click reload so you guys can see that I'm still Route 66. You can see that Frank Tabs is the host of this Route 66 part 2. We're going to check my email and see like, oh wait, I have an invite to my same party. That's kind of weird. So I'll click it and you'll notice that I've injected cross-site scripting into my malicious, you can see right here that something bad is happening up in the header here. We'll refresh this cookie grabbing session that I have here. And right here, Evite off, that's the host's email address and their authenticated cookie. So we'll just capture this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out. I'm going to pretend like I'm going to go back as the bad guy. So I'm sitting at my home and I sent this to the host. I'm going to log in as the bad guy. type in my password, which is password probably. You can see that I'm the host of this part 2. It looks exactly like the original host. I'm going to copy out the auth, the evite auth. You can see that we're signed in as bad guy still. And then we'll go up top. Okay, I want to drag that. I want to put cookies. I'm going to get lost. And I'll eventually find that I want this here. I'm like looking for it. I'm lost. I'm like, where is that? Evite auth. I'm going to take out my current session cookie. Click submit. Click off of this page here. I will see I'm still logged in as bad guy. Refresh the page, and we will become root 66. So we've compromised the cookie. You can see we're logged in as root 66, and see there's the second party that I had initiated to him. What I'll end up doing now is I can just sign out. I'll go back, log in as bad guy, delete that party so it doesn't exist anymore. I'll show you here. So I can sign in as a bad guy and delete. I mean, I could have saved my own session cookie if I wanted to, but I'm going to show you that. So this is the bad guy. I'm going to click on my event. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and I'm going to, or actually, I'm going to edit my invitation. For some reason, this takes forever. I don't know if it's because I've been screwing with the APIs, but it takes a moment here. So do a little dance. We'll wait. Waiting. I'm like, come on, work. So that's why I was talking about why the live demos sometimes just pause because of Evite's like, there's something bad going on. So cancel this event. Yes, we'll cancel it. Skip. We don't care to let anyone know that we've removed the invite. So now I've canceled the bad invite, so that no longer exists. So if the host goes back to this, he's like, oh, it was canceled, bummer. I will then now go back to my evite auth, paste in the cookie that we captured here. Go ahead and copy that. Paste that in there. Bam, submit the changes. We'll reload the page. Now we're set as root 66. Go back to his events. Now that no longer shows up there, that one that we saw that there was 2 of the same thing, that doesn't show up. And you could script that all into one PHP call that would just do this automatically. I just want to walk through it. So if he clicks on the link, it's been removed, but he goes back to his home page. You're like, no, it's not. It's right there. That's your problem. He has no idea that we've completely hijacked his account, and we have access to all of his address book and all of his friends' information. All right, so some outtakes. You can reuse a cookie. This is just so stupid. I don't understand what their problem is. It's like only a password reset will expire this session cookie. And this happens all over the internet. This is something that needs to be fixed. But like on their site, you can just use any valid cookie. So the events that are not public, there is an ability to make an event so you can't see who's, like when you load up the page, you don't get to see who's invited. Where on the left-hand side where I have Bill and Corey and all them, there's a way to make that private. But the only problem is that if you say, no, I'm not coming because I'm going to be out of town, they think that's private, but we can use the same open API call and read those messages. So that's my talk on Evite. Don't use it. Sure.
How do you fix it?
Start over.
What can they do to cookie magic? Per session cookies?
They could validate that it's an actual real cookie like they are doing for the address book, like the very beginning example that I showed. But if they were actually able to do that on everything,
That would solve it all, right?
that would solve a lot of their problems. They need to lock down the API tremendously. You know, like if you look at Eventbrite, they have the same type of API, but they lock it down. It says like, no, that's not even a valid session. Have a nice day. But,
Do you think they have an open API for their lazy developers, or do you think they want to openly easy to create third-party apps?
I just think that they're just lazy and they just did a really poor job in implementing this. This company has gone through like 3 or 4 mergers, so it's someone's bad baby or black eye somewhere. All right, thanks.
Always like easy regular shit. If you're not always kind of break,
Implement valid cookie sessions. Make sure,
Implement wax.
yeah, buy all the things.
I'm not near the phrase, you guys.
Still in there, yeah.
Things expires.
After a while, yeah, this is good. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty simple, stupid, but I'm not that bright. I gotta
Do it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we want it to work.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna try. Yeah, where you know of,
You should have talked to Della Lady, it's throwing me off.
They could break the API so you
Della
can't
Lady, it's
just.
throwing me off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was looking for the yellow.